Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unscaled. I'm Jeremy Long, and we have a real treat for you today. On my journeys the last few weeks, I've been in some interesting places, and none of those places have been more interesting than, it's a city that I visited a lot when I was a child, but as an adult, kind of got away, had been there in probably at least 15 years. But I was really excited to get the call to return to San Antonio. And finally, for the first time in years and years and years, I felt I was like somewhat home since I spent the first 31 years of my life in Texas, crisscrossing the state. And I, met some wonderful people, none of them more wonderful than my guest today. She is known around San Antonio as the Food Chick. Julia Rosenfeld spent 14 years as the dining reviewer and culinary editor for San Antonio Magazine, was the local Zagat guide editor, and adjunct writing instructor at the Culinary Institute of America in San Antonio, and has co-authored a couple of cookbooks, the latest one being San Antonio Cooks, which features recipes from 42 local San Antonio chefs. And I don't know of a better person that brings the flavor, that brings the flair, quite like Julia Rosenfeld, and she is my guest, and I am so happy you're here. Julia, how are you?
I am fine. Thank you for having me today. What a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day, isn't it? It's, the sun is shining. I haven't even looked outside today. It may be different in Vegas where I am.
Not here. It's nice and cool, and that's a great respite until we hit our summer months.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those summer months, brutal. That you guys have that humidity that we lack here in the desert, but
Mhm.
it does just like a stinky sock in the face every time you open the door. Well, Julia, you run Food Chick Tours. Tell me about Food Chick Tours, where the inspiration came from, and a little bit of your background in the culinary scene down there in the Alamo City.
Okay, well, I've been writing about food in San Antonio since 1979, and it's been on and off, and I had some corporate jobs. And um, when I left my last corporate job in 2004, I started writing for San Antonio Magazine. So I was on the regular as a culinary writer. And people kept calling me and saying, "My Aunt Fanny's coming to town, and where should I take her for dinner? Will you go with us?" I was like, "Don't know you, don't know Aunt Fanny. Here's a couple of, here are some suggestions." And then I thought, I should be monetizing this. I should
Hmm.
be making some money off of this. So I started looking at doing the kind of food tours that I had taken in other countries and other cities. There weren't a lot of them back in 2014, 2015 when I was developing the business. And there was, I think, one failed one in San Antonio. And so I decided to start Food Chick Tours. And the goal was not just to tell people where to go in a nicer way, than it was to support the burgeoning and upcoming independent local scene of chefs here. The Pearl was just opening up and they were having slow nights. And so I wanted to fill their slow nights with guests from out of town and locals. So that's how it all began. It's really grown into a much bigger deal than just the Pearl or just those few restaurants. It's really citywide now.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I was offered a chance to be on one of your tours, and it's so much more that it's so much more than I think the surface level what people might think a food tour is, or maybe you've been on one in a different city or something like that. Julie, you not only break down and treat people to these culinary delights around the city, but you also break down the history. You break down, the who's, what's, where, why, when of everything, including the neighborhoods where some of these tastes come from, and indigenous peoples where these flavors and combinations have come from. So, was that just a natural progression from just the touring, or do you just do that because, hey, I just freaking love history and
Well,
diving deep into it?
It's funny because I was never like a big history buff, but moving here and really getting involved in the scene was part of it. You cannot be in San Antonio without feeling the voices from the past, and you uh, you taste it as well. And as you know, the people, as you get to know the people who have lived their whole lives here, you get to understand how food and history is interwoven. I've become a history buff, and also when one of the courses that I taught at the Culinary Institute of America here, by the way, which is only one of 3 campuses of this prestigious school um, in the United States,
Hmm.
I taught what was termed culinary anthropology, but it was really about the foodways of the Americas because of the focus at this campus on Latin American cuisines. So in doing that and researching that, it became abundantly clear that the mixture of peoples that we have here has influenced the foods. I already knew about Tex Mex and didn't know how important it was or how prevalent it was in our cuisines. And it really has to do with what is grown here and what we're comfortable with. So that's how that focus began. And it really has changed in America. I think people are a lot more interested in where their food comes from than they
Hmm.
used to be.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think yeah, I maybe never noticed it until recently. And I think you pointed it out on our tour and you said something similar. Uh, I don't I can't recall when I had the actual thought of I wonder where this came from. I wonder where
Yeah,
these things,
yeah,
originated from, but it seems to over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, maybe a little bit longer than that, then people really started paying attention to where not only not only where food is sourced, but also where this distinct taste or flavor or combination or whatever has actually come from.
yeah. And what's interesting too is as I was really getting involved in this, I realized when I was writing for the magazine that I wanted to talk more about that history with every article about a restaurant. If I was writing about an Italian restaurant, a new Italian restaurant in the city, I wanted to talk about why San Antonio is not predominantly heavy with Italian restaurants, yet they're prolific in Boston, New York, Philadelphia.
Mhm.
So that kind of all started mixing into what I was writing about, no matter what the cuisine. How did it get here? Who are these people? Who's in the kitchen? Why are they good at this? Why do we love it? Why do we hate it? So it's all been
Y
really fascinating.
we're, talking about San Antonio and everything. San Antonio, for those who don't know, is one of only 2 cities in the US that has the UNESCO, gastronomy is a city of
City of
gastronomy.
City of Gastronomy because of our unique foods.
Okay. And the other being Tucson, but, have you ever been to Tucson? I'm not saying it's a boring city, but it's there. Uh,
It's no, it's a great city,
it's a
but
great
I
city, I kid.
I saw it from a different perspective in that
Mm.
I went on with my focus on their food and why it was different from ours. So I got to meet really cool chefs and go to really cool restaurants.
So speaking
Sorry,
of
Jeremy.
oh, no, I kid. For all the 3 pieces of hate mail I'm gonna get about that Tuscan concept comment there. Uh, so speaking of San Antonio, what in your mind sets San Antonio apart from other culinary destinations? What makes it,
Well,
special? Well, give me a little bit of its history first off.
okay. First of all, I think one of the things that's fascinating is how many people in culture and history of the past have talked about San Antonio.
Mhm,
Stephen Crane, who wrote Red Marriage,
mhm,
talked about dining in San Antonio in 1895. I mean,
mm,
that's pretty serious. And he was eating the spicy food from the vendors in the open air markets, which were prolific back then. We had the chili queens. But his quote was, "The food tastes exactly like pounded fire brick from Hades." chili
Uh,
con
so-
chili con carne, tamales, enchiladas, chili verde, and frijoles. So, so everybody reading, anybody who read that in 1895 thought, oh, it's all going to be spicy, and it isn't necessarily. But the chili queens were these women who cooked chili con carne in the 1880s and earlier in our central squares. So they
mhm.
were Mexican. Now we would say Mexican American. They were from the area, and they used eventually Gebhardt chili powder, which was made by a German immigrant to San Antonio. And then at the World's Fair in 1893, the Chicago World's Fair, we had our first San Antonio chili stand. So everybody in the 1890s, after we had statehood and the Alamo was over, um, started hearing about San Antonio and understanding that our food was already unique.
Mm.
And that set us up for success and for being a unique city of the world. One of the 7 most unique cities in the United States.
And this is after, I mean, you mentioned after the Alamo, after all of that, the city was already, I mean, it was already considered old by U.S. standards at the
Right,
time,
we
with its
were
beginning going back way, way before that.
1718. We were
Yeah,
established as a city. Yeah, and the
man.
Canary Islanders came and helped found the city and form the city, working in tandem with the people who had already lived here.
Now you mentioned, of course, my favorite thing in the world, Tex Mex. And for those for those who don't know, can you help us define Tex Mex and what what is it exactly? What is it? What are its origins?
So what's funny is a lot of times when you're describing things, the definition is what it isn't.
Mm,
Um, so what it isn't is it's what it isn't is New Mexico Mexican, which is green chili heavy. It isn't California Mexican, which is avocado and crema heavy. It is corn tortillas, it's beans, rice, it's chilies that are indigenous. It's using our foods of the settlers as well as the people of the wild peppers that have grown here since I don't know, 7,000 BC. Um, the Maya, Aztec influence, um, the Caddo and Coahuiltecans and Payaya Indians. It's everything mixing together from the state of Coahuila and Texas, that all of the people who had no borders went back and forth and used all the foods that they could grow and import in their foods. Most people think of it as this really spicy yellow cheese, foods with yellow cheese,
yeah.
and it's so much more than that.
I
But
mean,
that's
let's not discount it. I love that spicy yellow
yeah, I like it
cheese
too,
and
and it's
jalapenos.
it is totally addictive. Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God, I'm
But
hungry right now.
it also was developed by what a term that I didn't know until I moved here, by the Anglos, which just
Hmm.
means, already the European descent people who lived here.
Yeah.
They adopted it as well, and Tex-Mex was catered to Anglo customers, and it was back then it used to be called Spanish food. People
Mm,
just called it Spanish food, and then they
yeah.
started calling it Mexican food, and then it was different. You needed to say, well, it's not interior Mexican, it's
Hmm.
local Mexican, so it's Tex-Mex. There was a rail line called the Tex-Mex rail line that went between Texas and Mexico, and that's where the
Hmm.
name really came from. So
Oh.
we didn't make it up. Um, there was a lot of marrying going on.
Mm. Well, this is a safe space, so you could have just said honky, honky people, honky settlers.
but that's just, but that's a very African American thing.
Mm.
using honky. So I'm sorry, these are Anglos. These are just white folks. I didn't know I was Anglo. I'm a Jewish girl from, with immigrant parents. So I didn't know I was Anglo. That sounds so British.
And it's so funny you mentioned the terms too, because like out here in Vegas, saying, I want to go get Mexican food means I want to go get, what they have here, which is more
Nachos.
predominantly, uh, you know, uh, closer to Mexican cuisine than anything else. You say that where I'm from in Southeast Texas, and Mexican means we're going to go get Tex Mex. We're going to go get all the yellow cheese and spice that we can until we can't close our hands because of the sodium, um, and all that. So it's funny how different regions and everything pick up different.
Let's not forget the fat.
Oh, the fat, the wonderful, wonderful fat of it all. So, are there what modern foods do people eat that they may not realize have their ties into like a Tex-Mex or those kind of beginnings?
Well, I would say chili.
Mm,
Chili is purely San Antonio and
mm,
really kind of mixed from what was being made in Mexico and then made here. Um, I would say when you see Spanish rice or Mexican rice or beans, good borracho beans, that's Tex-Mex. So those are whole beans, like red beans,
mhm.
in a cooked, but with a little bit of bacon, and then you add some beer for flavoring, usually Lone Star,
Mm,
um, which is a San Antonio beer.
mhm.
And so those are things that I think are any enchilada you have that's got chili on top, meat chili, that's Tex-Mex, meat chili.
Oh, I love it. What I guess you said earlier, we define it more by what it's not than what it is. What about modern things like what we know is like tacos and nachos and things like that? Is
Yeah,
it
so
commonly misconstrued, like to get like lump it in with that, or are we on the right track?
well, we love tacos so much that we invented breakfast tacos.
Mm,
No, somewhere else you're going to have breakfast burritos.
hmm.
We don't really do burritos. We do tacos, and so that is very much a Tex-Mex thing to have
Hmm.
breakfast tacos and then have a little merienda of pan dulce, some sweetbreads in the middle of the morning, and then maybe in the afternoon as well. Why the hell not? And then some enchiladas for lunch, and dinner would be simpler and at home. As a general rule, our Mexican restaurants, our best ones, are open for breakfast and lunch. They're not open for dinner.
Hmm.
The fancier ones that they're open for dinner so that you can have margaritas.
Is there a reason? Is there a reason why
Well,
the
because
preferred
people
ones are
are,
only breakfast and lunch?
well, it's not so much preferred. It's
Hmm.
just like a taqueria here. When
Hmm.
you see the word taqueria, it means it's going to be open for breakfast and lunch, probably closed by 3, because it's for the working class people who are out and about. So
Oh.
you stop in and get your tacos and maybe your lunch.
And I have to tell you, I was down in the Rio Grande Valley years ago, and the best breakfast tacos I ever had. I came out of a just I how do you say this? Came out of this guy's car, man. He was on the side
Yeah.
of the road, and
Oh,
there was
those are
a
the best.
line of people. I was like, I would expect a number of things, like to either be murdered or get some diseases or something like that. But I never expected to have the very best breakfast tacos out of the back of this guy's car at 4 in the morning.
I bet you that the people lined up were a mix of people coming out of bars
Hmm.
and people on their way to work
Yep,
in a manual labor
yep.
position. And that is what breakfast tacos are all about. They're good and hearty and easy to handle while you're walking or riding a bus or in the car.
Now, are
Love
there
breakfast tacos.
yeah, oh, man, I'm telling you. Speaking of San Antonio, are there any smaller spots, lesser known neighborhoods or uh unique cultural heritage that may that may have played a role that people don't think about necessarily. I mean, earlier you mentioned kind of the African influences and things like that, but is there anything like that in San Antonio where there's always one place that gets the love, but are there
Well,
other kind of neighborhoods or whatever around?
yeah, well, like so many cities, we've
Hmm.
grown up with pockets of people who have been here for generations. The
Right.
people who were a mix of the indigenous people and the Europeans in our missions still live near the missions. Our missions, which are again UNESCO World Heritage Sites, um, and they're part of the National Park Service. They they are still active parishes, active Catholic parishes, and a lot of the people who are in those parishes can trace their lineage back to the people who lived at those first missions in the
Mm.
1700s.
Wow.
And so those neighborhoods around them have grown up with all of those families um, living and working and opening restaurants and doing backyard barbacoa on the weekends in those neighborhoods. So that is traditionally south side and a little bit of the west side of our town. On the east side, we have the historic black redlined neighborhoods, and a lot of those folks can um, trace their lineage back to early slave or enslaved people, as we say. And we actually have the largest Martin Luther King Day rally and parade in the United States here in San Antonio, with about a 6 or 8% Black population. We love our people enough to support everybody. So that's why that parade is so big. We all go down there and support our fellow San Antonians and their journey. So the east side, the west side and the south side are predominantly Hispanic American neighborhoods.
You mentioned coming out and supporting San Antonio's. My visit happened to coincide with St. Patrick's Day, and
Woohoo!
and that was a
Yeah,
wild time, man.
yeah we put dye in the river, and it's a green river, and there's green beer everywhere and
Oh
green
yeah,
margaritas. Oh
I had all the
yeah,
green beer I could handle,
yeah.
and so it was a good
I
old
hope.
Anglo honky celebration down there. But everybody was there. Everyone was Irish that day, and it was a beautiful time. And who started the dyeing of the river first? Was it you guys or Chicago?
Oh well,
Probably Chicago, huh?
I'm sure it wasn't us. Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
That was well, whatever. It's still
although
fun to watch.
although we had the World's Fair here in 1968,
Hmm.
so that really shined a light on our different, again, neighborhoods back in the formation early days of San Antonio. And there was an Irish town, and it's right in downtown. So there was a whole group of Irish people who helped settle parts of San Antonio. Germans were big, the Polish were big. So they all influenced our food in their own ways,
Oh yeah.
including
Uh,
barbecue.
mm,
Barbecue is influenced by the Germans and the Poles.
and things,
So there you go.
little things like kolaches as well, and
Everywhere, they're
oh
everywhere.
my gosh, it's everywhere.
Love
God,
our checks.
I love the food. Um,
Good checks.
so if travelers come to San Antonio, are there what are the places you recommend for that true San Antonio taste? That aren't chain restaurants or
Besides,
anything like that.
okay, besides going on a food chick tour,
Yeah, but
I
well, I
would
mean,
say,
obviously, you're gonna go on a food check tour, and then you're gonna go back to these favorite places because, you know.
okay, one of my very top favorite places is called Lala's. That's Lala, Lala's
Mm,
Gorditas.
mhm.
And he nixtamalizes his own corn to make masa. So, big words. Um, the nixtamalization process dates back thousands upon thousands of years, and it takes dried corn, makes it soft and it easier to grind, and the niacin and B12 vitamins remain in it. So
Mm.
I liken it to the difference between whole wheat and white bread.
And you said he, is that Steven? Is that owner
I'm
Steven?
sorry,
Uh,
Steven Pizzini at Lala's Gorditas. His family has been involved in Tex-Mex food here since the 40s, I believe, the 1940s.
mm.
Um, Sanitary Tortillas, you only can go with me to get a tour of that place. Um, Fruteria La Misión is a fruit stand with incredible corn in a cup. We are big on our corn. Um, La Panaderia, or any of the Mexican bakeries here in town, really give you an idea of the link between Europe and Mexico and how that influenced our cuisine as well. So that's a good start.
I love the little, oh, this place, sanitary tortillas. You can only get in there with me. I love it because it's true. You have such a great relationship with all of these people I mean, your family there.
Yeah, they're my family, and I love supporting them, and I love being able to showcase the city's excellence. There's so
Mhm.
much of it.
So yeah, before we let you go, tell us about your latest cookbook. Tell us about how you assembled it, and this is the one that involves recipes from 42 local San Antonian chefs. How
Right.
did it come to be?
I was approached by the publisher, which is Figure One Publishing, and they're out of Canada.
Mm.
And if you're Canadian, you come from Canada. And they do a series of they have done a series of city cookbooks in the past. So they approached me to write this one. They've done East Bay and Houston and Miami, Phoenix, Portland, and Seattle, as well as just a ton, like 10 places in Canada. And so they look for an author in each of these cities to find the restaurants that are unique and interesting. So I selected people that I knew. I put the call out to see who was interested, and I started it in 2019 BC, before COVID,
Hmm.
and then put it on hold during COVID, and then came back and picked it up again. So I've got everything from Moroccan in there. There's this incredible Moroccan restaurant here in San Antonio, to one of our oldest Tex-Mex restaurants down in the original uh, farmers market, El Mercado, the Market Square, to upscale Mexican pastries, and some of our, and not some, most of our top um, James Beard level restaurants
Oh yeah,
that are, yeah, like
like our
Clementine.
yeah, like our friend. I was going to say John Russ, who with Clementine there.
Yeah,
Um, uh,
Giga. Yeah.
Yeah. When people sign up for a tour on Food Chick Tours, what can they generally expect? What do you hope, either memory or just experience, do you hope that they leave with?
Um, I, I really, I know that they will be full. I often get that question of, "Will I need to go out for dinner afterwards?" Oh, hell no, you may not eat the next day. And wear stretchy pants,
Uh-huh.
and come
I can
ready
attest
to.
to this. I can attest to this.
So you can expect a lot of food no matter which tour you take. Because I do a Tex-Mex tour, I do a fine dining dinner tour, and I do a fine dining brunch tour that includes a tour of one of our historic neighborhoods called King William. And so expect information. You're going to laugh a lot. I tell kind of chisme, which means gossip. I give you the gossip on the restaurants and on the chefs, um, and um, and a lot of history that isn't boring.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's what you can expect. This isn't. These are not. First of all, I just want to say these aren't. I stand on a corner and people just show up tours. These are very well thought out. I plan everything for everyone. If you have a food issue, I manage it for you.
Right.
You don't have to think. You just have to show up and eat.
Oh, it's so beautiful, and I will absolutely back that up. It's a wonderful experience. I've been on a few food tours in my day. You don't get a body
Uh-huh.
like mine without without experiencing some food tours over the years. And this honestly, it was way different. It was a twisted version in a good way of a food tour because of everything that you put into it. And it's so well thought out and it's so interesting. Just the level of history and how deep you get with the city's history and food history. I mean, that's why I instantly thought of you to talk about the culinary
Yeah.
scene there in San Antonio. So
And
hats off
you
to
get
you,
to meet the chefs as well, which is
and
fun.
you get to
And
meet the chefs.
one of the comments I hear most often is, "Oh, you have my dream job." Right? And I always say,
Mhm.
"Are these your dream hips?" If they are, this is the career for you.
Hey, have I got a job for you? Yeah, if you want a body shape like mine, come come on,
Come
get
on.
on come on, get on the train, man. We going to
You're
Fat and
hired.
Saltville. Uh, finally, if people want to link up with you either through the website or on social media, how can they get a hold of you? How can they follow you online?
I am at foodchicktours.com, just one chick, foodchicktours.com. And you can book right there, and all of the availability is front and center. I'm also a really bad Instagrammer infrequently on at Food Chick SA, I believe. And who the hell knows? And I am on Facebook with foodchicktours.com. I'm sorry in advance for being really bad about Instagram.
I, who can keep up with all this crap?
I can't. It's
I
like,
can't
just
keep up
call
with
me.
it. I
Just
know.
freaking call me. Let's talk about it.
Part of my job is I'm supposed to be active on social media, and I am like the worst at doing that
Yeah.
stuff. So that's
Yeah,
what it
it's
is.
not fun.
Well,
Yeah.
Julia, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your everything you do for the city and representing San Antonio and the culinary scene and everything. But um, is
I
there
really
anything I
hope that
missed?
I hope you get to come back
Oh man, I
and
know.
have more fun. There's just so much to do here.
There's so
And
much.
we are such an under the radar city, and I think we
Mhm.
always will be, because we don't have an ego. It's
Yeah,
just it's a different ball game here. Come on back.
it's a totally different vibe in San Antonio. If you've never been, number one, where have you been? Number two, what are you waiting for?
Yeah,
It's an
it's a
amazing
huge
city.
surprise.
It is. People think,
Yeah.
if they go to one Texas city and they go to Dallas, they're like, hey, yeehaw. It's totally different. I mean, I would say every city in Texas is a little bit different. That's all connective tissue, underneath and everything. But San Antonio really sets itself apart. We focus on the culinary today. There's also, so much history. If you're a history buff, if you like haunted things, you got one of the oldest cities, in the United States here. And there's so many different levels and layers to San Antonio
Yeah.
that one
Yeah.
trip it's not enough.
No. And and if you do come, get the heck off the Riverwalk. The Riverwalk is great. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
But get out and
Get away
see
from
the
it.
real humans.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're very
Julia.
welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. I loved having you on my tour. I really honestly hope you come back.
Well, I'm a damn delight. That's why. But other
You
than
are.
that,
You
I like the pause.
have magic hips.